This is why we watch the games. This is why we go to the games. This is why we love our teams. The Rangers with a masterpiece tonight, thanks to Jacob deGrom. What a game it was. What a fantastic night of sports in the DFW. And I know it's exciting over there on DLLS Mavs too, but we knew the outcome there. We knew Cooper Flagg was going to be the first overall pick. We didn't know what was going to happen. With high drama in Baltimore tonight, and Jacob deGrom delivered, as he usually does. Sadly, it wasn't the perfect game we were all hoping for at the end of 6. It wasn't the no-hitter that we were all hoping for at the end of 7, but it was a masterpiece. Frame it. Hang it in a museum. It was artistic, it was beautiful, and it was the kind of thing that makes you realize we have in our presence a pitcher unlike any other in the game right now. He is compared favorably numbers-wise, as you may have heard on the broadcast, to Clayton Kershaw. But certainly Clayton is more on the downside of his career than Jacob deGrom is. Jacob deGrom is still there. He proved it tonight. 99 miles an hour on his final strikeout pitch. He threw over 100 a couple of times in the game tonight. He was still throwing 99 miles an hour in the 7th inning. Jacob deGrom is getting stronger as the season goes on. What a game it was. The Rangers win it 7-0. John Radigan here. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast, and Jeff Wilson is in Baltimore. What a great time to be there. And I know he, like the rest of us, a little disappointed that he didn't quite get to see history tonight from Jacob deGrom, but he sure did see a great game. Well, he'll join us momentarily. The Queen Cat is working all over the place. She is helping to run point on the Mavs stuff. That's all busy tonight, and producing our show as well. So we appreciate her and you. I see you chatting already. We definitely appreciate you. We'll get to post-game reaction with Jeff. We'll hear what Jacob deGrom had to say about this one, what Bruce Bochy had to say about this one. We'll preview the upcoming homestand, which includes these same Baltimore Orioles, and we'll celebrate the fact tonight, everybody. We will celebrate the fact that the Rangers have won 5 of 6 series. Suddenly they sneak up on you and they win 5 out of 6 series. It feels like literally on Monday, really Sunday followed by Monday, right? That crappy loss in Pittsburgh, and then the 3-hit yuck performance in game 1 of this Baltimore series had you feeling like, man, the sky is falling. It really is bleak. It's almost as bleak as we thought. Let's put the for sale sign out. Let's do it. And now all of a sudden they win these 2. And Bruce Bochy was so smart about it after the second game, after the Monday game. He said, yeah, an offensive dud like this feels bad, but I feel like we're headed in the right direction. The numbers indicate they are. 5 out of 6 series wins. That's 4 series wins in a row. They're getting back to respectability, 4 series on the road in a row, I should say. And they're getting back to respectability as it pertains to that road record where they were so abysmal earlier this season. So really fun to watch this series, really fun to watch this game. Last night's game was spectacular and special too in many different ways. Tonight was, as we said, just a thing of beauty. Jacob deGrom had the Oriole hitters off balance throughout the entire game, from the beginning until the end. I think his first 4 of 7 strikeouts were achieved with the changeup, and it was dancing. I mean, it was diving away from hitters. At one point, you saw the young kid Jackson Holliday go, how does he do that, right? It was an unbelievable performance by a guy who was so hopeful and so motivated and so ready to pull this thing off. I love to see Jacob deGrom and his emotion after the game, hugging with Jonah Heim and celebrating and sharing that moment. Nobody more than the 2 of them Nobody was more involved than the two of them in what took place out there between pitcher and catcher tonight. And then maybe my favorite moment of the game, once the perfecto and the no-hitter were over, was Jack Leiter just picking Jacob deGrom's brain in the dugout. That was a spectacular scene. And you could just see Jacob going through every motion and showing him, grips and arm slots and all the things. He's teaching this young guy about how he might someday be able to accomplish a similar thing. It wasn't quite accomplished. Jacob deGrom has never had a no-hitter in his career, but I think, if my research is right, this is only his first one-hitter. He had a two-hitter previously, but he had the one-hitter tonight. He continues the stretch of games where he's allowed 2 runs or fewer. He set a record for the Rangers the last time he did that with 12 in a row. It's his 16th start of the season. The Rangers have won 10 of those. And I think it was just Leon that came through with the 29-4 now stat when they score 4 or more. As soon as they got to 4 tonight, I felt like it was pretty much over. Although they got to 4 last night, and we thought it was over, and then it wasn't. So, you never know. But you sure could tell tonight they weren't going to get any more than they weren't going to get 4 runs off Jacob deGrom. We knew that. Not by the way he was pitching, not by the way he was feeling, and not by the way he was baffling those Orioles hitters. The offense just really doing its job tonight too, which is not consistent. It's not always fun to watch this offense. And really, in the second inning tonight, I'm not sure it was that much fun to watch it. You get a leadoff double from Marcus Semien, and then a strikeout from Adolis, and then Evan Carter flies out to center field, and you're like, oh, man, we're going to strand Semien. I guess Evan with the, productive out, got him to third base, but he gets Semien to third base with 2 outs, and lo and behold, Josh Young comes up, and he gets a single and drives Semien home. Here comes Jonah Heim, a double. He sends Josh Young over to third base, and then that petered out after that. Alejandro Osuna grounded out to second base, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, all that activity on the bases, and 2 runners in scoring position, and or 3 ultimately in the inning, and you only get 1 home, and you were very much afraid that was it. But it wasn't. It wasn't at all, because after they got shut down in that third inning, it was just fantastic that Evan Carter got a single. He's been hitting the ball so well, really, for the last week or so. It's been great to see him. And then, how about Josh Young again? Comes up and hits an opposite field home run. And like David Murphy was saying on the game, an opposite field home run for Josh Young proves just how good he's feeling right now. He just took it, went with the pitch, knocked it into the first row of the seats out there in right field, and in the newly shortened fencing at Camden Yards. But that gave the Rangers a 3-0 lead, a 2-run bomb by Josh Young, and they piled on with 3 more runs in the 5th inning. They actually knocked the starter Young out of the game. He went 4 plus 1 hitter, and they knocked him out of the game. So that Rangers offense basically, had enough after the first few innings, the way Jacob deGrom was going. But awfully nice to see some of the offense coming from the bottom of the order tonight, too. In fact, the top of the order wasn't that productive tonight, but the bottom was Josh Young with a single and a home run, Jonah with a double and a home run, each of them with RBIs in the game. Josh had 3 RBIs in the game. Evan Carter, as we mentioned, had the single. Adolis was 0 for tonight, but Marcus Semien had 3 hits on the night. So the offense, they shared it a little bit, and they didn't necessarily rely on the top of the order. But that's not to say that Corey Seager wasn't productive tonight, because he had a single and scored a run. singled in the 5th and scored a run when Adolis Garcia drove him home. Adolis with an RBI, and he did that via the sacrifice fly. So it's just really been, frustrating, I know, to watch this offense. But right now it does seem like they're sharing the wealth. They're spreading it around a little bit. And that way, it's not like we've said earlier many times this season where you basically have 9 guys in the slump. You don't. You can't say Josh Young's still in a slump right now. Jonah Heim, I don't know that he's really slumped all season, right? You're getting production out of Evan Carter. You're getting production out of Adolis Garcia and Marcus Semien, and now Corey Seager seems to be coming back. So just beautiful, beautiful work by this offense tonight. And again, you can only hope and keep your fingers crossed that it will be something that continues for this offense and something that continues for this team. There's no doubt everybody in that dugout, everybody in that clubhouse energized by the fact that Jacob deGrom did what he did. And if you saw the little short that the Queen Cat and I produced we put out today that talked about don't miss this opportunity. Do not waste it. Do not, miss the chance. Even if you're tired of the Rangers offense, even if you don't think they've got it, you got to watch this Jacob deGrom pitch. Jonah Heim joined Laura Stickles after the game on the network broadcast and said, that man is the best pitcher on the planet right now. And he said, when his ball is moving like that, there is nobody that can hit him. Jonah said it's by far the best he's seen Jacob deGrom since he came over here from the New York Mets as a free agent. Of course, Jonah got here a year or so before him. And, Jonah was just like everybody, bubbling and effervescent, and then a little disappointed that history wasn't made tonight. But it sure was a really, really fun night for Jonah Heim, a really fun night for Jacob deGrom. I loved how after Colton Cowser got the hit, and it was there between first and second, so like he should, Jacob's kind of running towards first to cover the bag just in case, he's not sure who's going to grab that ball, and he may need to take the feed. And anyway, from Josh Smith, and anyway, he had something to say to Colton Cowser. Maybe he'll tell in postgame what he said. They both seemed to get a laugh out of it, and I'm sure it was kind of a fun moment there too. So really, really special night for the Texas Rangers on a special night in DFW sports history. Really fun to see a game like this from Jacob deGrom, who threw 89 pitches. 59 of those were for strikes. And look at there, Jeff Wilson joins us already. Looks like he's already made it back to the hotel room. Jeff, I said at the beginning, this was more than a baseball game. This was more than a sporting event. This was a masterpiece.
John, you're right. You could tell his first strikeout, the first batter of the game, Jackson Holliday, struck out on a changeup that just deGrom hasn't thrown this year. It was so good. It had so much movement, and he hadn't done it a lot early in games, so that probably contributed to Holliday looking like a fool. But it was a great pitch, and it just kept going from there. And and this, the Orioles press box, John. It's really it's a really good location. Yeah, and this is probably the best angle I've had to watch deGrom pitch ever. And it was fantastic to watch. I mean, his wildest miss was on the walk to Holliday. Yeah, there was nothing like that the whole game. It was just everything was close. I think he ended up, because of that, and it happens not just to Jacob deGrom, but all pitchers. If you're around the zone that much, the umpire is going to end up eventually giving you a little off the plate, and that happened a few times. It was very good. It was efficient. The one ball that was hit to the wall by Holliday that Osuna grabbed. Yeah. That's the one that honestly you probably wish wasn't hit, not the little C&I ball that I thought Josh Smith could have made a play on. Honestly, maybe he's gun shy from that Tampa series. I don't know, but I thought he had the best chance at it. But it just, what a performance! And you're right, DeGrom did have something to say to Cowser. He looked at him and he said, "I really wanted that one."
Yeah, and you're right, and we'll talk lots more about this. You're right. That's why deGrom's running over to first base, because he's thinking maybe Josh Smith has a play on that. We've got lots more coming from Jeff. Let's hear exactly what Jacob deGrom had to say. Let's hear what Bruce Bochy had to say. Get a pulse of the clubhouse after a fantastic win by the Rangers. It was a 7-0 victory for your Texas Rangers, and a great performance by Jacob deGrom. We've got all that coming up next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, we want to tell you about Mando. Yeah, I tell you what, on a night like this, and it wasn't as hot, 89 at game time, Jeff, so not quite as hot, but I'm sure everybody in that, even in the press box, is probably, getting a little hot under the collar. It can sweat and stink up here too, and so
it was more humid tonight than it had been.
Okay.
So it was 89, but I think I sweat more. And then I jogged back from the ballpark. It's only 3 blocks. I need some Mando right now.
Yeah, you definitely could use a little Mando right now, and you can get some Mando right now. You get $5 off the starter pack with a code DLLS. Mando is such a great product. I use it all the time. We remembered yesterday to remind you to use it on your feet too, because your feet can get smelly and sweaty this time of year. But they've got a product for every different body part, all the naughty ones and even the ones that you aren't embarrassed to talk about. So get you some Mando today. I think it'll definitely help you feel better about, sort of the way you're presenting yourself to the world. And then game time, tonight's game time was as good as they get. And I think tonight's game time may inspire you to use the Game Time app to go buy a few more opportunities to see Rangers games this year. Yeah, this is the kind of game they can play. This is the kind of offense they can string together. And if you go on Jacob deGrom night, this is the kind of history and masterpiece you might be able to see. So use the app, Game Time. You'll be able to see exactly where the seat would be at Globe Life Field. And then you will obviously, it'll be guaranteed. You'll have very few fees, the lowest fees of any secondary ticketing app out there. I think you'll really appreciate all the technology and all the availability that is there via the Game Time app. I'm a customer. I encourage you to be too. Use GameTime.com. You'll get $20 off your first purchase with the code DLLS. Talking now more with me, John Radigan, here in Texas, and Jeff there in Baltimore about a night by Jacob deGrom tonight. So, Jeff, was it just gathered around the locker, or did they do something special tonight?
Yeah, no, just around the locker. It takes something pretty special to go into a visiting team's media room, like the Josh Hamilton 4-homer game. But we were around his locker. He was still sweaty. He was also icing his arm, and so there was some leakage from that. But he made no bones about it. He wanted to throw a no-hitter tonight. He knew. He said as soon as the first inning, he knew he had a no-hitter, that he was in good shape, and feeling good. He checked into his mechanics between starts to try to clean those up, which is something he always does. And then he had worked on the changeup between starts, and he said he just has to throw it. Otherwise, in the past, he'd just been guiding it. He's got to let it rip, and then it'll do what it did tonight. Threw it to left-handers mostly. It's a pitch that goes away from them, so it gives them something else to worry about. He threw a couple curveballs too, just to mess with them. But it was just really a special performance, and he knew, it's the deepest he's ever taken a no-hitter in his career, deepest he has ever gone perfect, which is kind of surprising, for a guy who is as accomplished as he is. He knows that he's thrown one hitter in his career, and the pitcher got the hit, and he brought that he brought that up, and boy, it still bothers him to this day. But it was just fun to talk to him. He felt thankful that Bruce Bochy gave him the opportunity to go out there, because he knows, everybody knows they're working on an innings count, and they've been trying to keep him at around 80 pitches. Well, he was at 85 after 7, gave up the hit on his 89th pitch, and that was that. But just a great night. And you throw in the offense and, a second straight road win, fourth straight road series win. They finished the first half a game below 500 at 40-41, but they have an off day tomorrow, so I don't know how the momentum is going to carry over into Friday. But I think the win Tuesday night helped spark this win, and maybe is going to get these guys. I know we keep saying it every time there's a little winning streak or a little glimmer of hope, but they believe that they're about to improve in the second half.
Yeah, I think so too, and I want to talk more with you about that momentarily. I want to go down a few more avenues with deGrom first. The first being the fact, Jeff, that as I mentioned, he was throwing, I think on his final strikeout, I made a note here in my book, his final strikeout of the game, he threw a 99 mile an hour. Was that his final one? Yeah, his final strikeout, he was like 99.4 miles an hour with that high fastball, which is not the one he normally uses as the strikeout pitch. But on his very last one, that's how he struck out Westberg. So I think the fact that he has that kind of velo going that late in the game, we've talked about. A Justin Verlander who used to save it and have it all of a sudden in the 8th or 9th inning. But I think what that speaks to, though, is total health for Jacob deGrom.
He said he feels great. He was throwing on normal rest, which is 4 days rest. He'd only done that 4 times this year. He didn't have the extra day built in, either by an off day or a spot starter or something like that. So he said he feels fine. He felt like he could have kept going. He wanted to keep going. But he understands his goal is to make as many starts as possible. And, he's made it to the halfway point with no reservations here. He's been their most durable starter, which is pretty strange to say about Jacob deGrom. But he is healthy. And when his mechanics are dialed in, he feels confident enough to show that extra velocity. It's when he's all over the place, that's when he dials it back to 95 to 97, but he was 98, 99 in the first inning. He was ready to go tonight. And Jonah Heim said that he could see in the bullpen that Jacob seemed a little more focused than normal, felt good about his stuff. And so the results were what you saw tonight. And another thing, this is his bounce back year. This is his rehab year. Theoretically, it's going to get better. So, not to get too excited here, it's just one really, really good start. But, it was his 13th straight start allowing 2 earned runs or less.
Right,
right. And since like April 18th, he might be the best pitcher in the American League, and it's pretty remarkable to see what he's done. And, and another interesting thing, the Rangers actually score when he pitches.
Right.
He entered tonight 7th in the league in run support, 5.30 runs. So that's kind of crazy. Maybe they just feel so good that Jacob deGrom's pitching. We don't have any pressure. Let's just go out there and have some fun. But it was good on so many levels, not just for him, but for the team as well.
Yeah, it really was. And that thing about the mechanics is so interesting with him. I know he is a guy who analyzes that, probably, ad nauseum, right? He's so critical and so hypersensitive about it. That said, we have not heard as much about mechanical flaws, if you will, in his now, obviously, you're not going to after tonight's game. There weren't any. But even his last 2 or 3 starts prior to this, Jeff, he hasn't been I think he's just been knowing he was closer and closer mechanically.
Yeah, he said he felt like the Pittsburgh start on Saturday was pretty good, other than just the one bad inning. He thought the mechanics were close there, and it's so meticulous. I think you could maybe notice a few times on the broadcast, and it's definitely was easy to notice in person. On pitches that he didn't like, he would look back at the mound and clean up his landing spot. It didn't happen a lot, but he's so meticulous that he wants to land in the same spot.
Sure.
With his foot in the same position, and all of these things that you wouldn't think about unless you're a major league pitcher. But it's just incredible how good he can be, and he still says he's trying to be as good as he was before the injury. If he gets to there, holy cow! The Rangers might have their first Cy Young winner. I mean, I'm not speaking in hyperbole here. He's this good,
yeah,
and it's just been so consistent. That's not to say that he's not going to go out there here. Maybe his next start, and because it's against the Orioles, he'll have to make some adjustments. They'll be looking for some things, and maybe he gives up 3 or 4 runs, but it's still going to be really good, and more often than not, he's going to do what he's been doing: 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 7 innings. It's that good, it's that consistent, and again, he has a chance to get better. The usage thing will come into play in the second half. If the Rangers get into contention, they're going to be tempted to use him more and deeper into games. There was some talk afterward about how far they were going to let him go. Was there any discussion about pulling him after 7, just because of the pitch count? But Bruce Bochy's old school, and it was interesting because before the game, we were talking about Jake Latz, who had the no hitter into the 7th last night, and how far would he have let Latz go? And ultimately, Latz probably wouldn't have finished it, but they were gonna give him a chance. And Bruce said, "I'm a guy who let a pitcher go 148 pitches to get a no hitter." With Tim Lincecum. So Bruce is going to give these guys a chance. He understands the gravity of a no hitter, but he also recognized just what Jacob deGrom is and can mean to this team, and where he's been injury-wise. So pretty prudent play there. And I thought as soon as the hit was surrendered that Jacob would be done.
Yeah, it was that was pretty automatic, I think, because again, you're still walking that fine line of this, trying not to give him too many innings, try not to have too much on there, so you have some gas left in the tank in October, a run the Rangers still believe and hope they can make. So that was pretty cool. And to your point about the Cy Young candidacy, Bob Nightingale tweeted tonight, "Hey, don't look now, but Jacob deGrom is right at the top of the Cy Young race." And listed all of his stats and said what he did tonight. And again, Nightingale, as we know, is a guy who has an influence over other people, other watchers of the game who may not be paying completely close attention to it. But I think the point is well taken. His numbers are absolutely favorable. And if he keeps going like this, there's just no question. He and Skubal and I don't know who else are going to be right there in that hunt.
Yeah, I think Max Fried with the Yankees he's pitching tonight, pitching well, and he's been pretty good. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm not going to pontificate. But there's no question he's in there. I think Evaldi would be in there if he hadn't missed the last 4 weeks.
Sure.
So he still has a chance to get in there. Right now, deGrom 8-2, 2.08 ERA, 95 innings for Jacob deGrom. That's halfway through. That's halfway to 190.
Right.
I think that's 190 is a big number.
It is.
20 walks, 94 strikeouts, .189 opponents average, 0.88 WHIP. I mean, these are Cy Young worthy numbers. There's no question about it. And some voters are swayed, me being one of them, by a team being in contention. I think that's vitally important, unless it's just overwhelming numbers to be a Cy Young or an MVP. And so the Rangers need to help their guy out. But it's been terrific. And the thing is, it just doesn't look like he's doing much out there. I mean, it's just so easy, and it's so I don't know. It's so quick,
effortless.
Effortless. Yeah. It's just like, holy crap, this guy's got a no hitter, and he's cruising, and all of a sudden he's 8-2, and he's
Yeah.
got 2.08 ERA. So it's something definitely to watch. There's no question this has to be a storyline that'll be followed the rest of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, so we got more coming up. We're going to talk about other aspects of tonight's game. We're going to talk about the upcoming series. I also want to revisit last night's game a little bit because it was just such a spectacular game. And like Jeff said, maybe one of those games that people will point to as the game. That's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
This hotel I'm staying in is about to undergo a major renovation, and I'm gonna try to sneak into the hotel manager's office and say, "Hey, have you talked to Empire today? They can make it so easy for you guys. They can come straight here and hook you up. As for regular folks who live in homes like us, Empire Today, you call them up, schedule a free in-home estimate. They're going to come to your house. They're going to help you choose the colors and what type of flooring is right for you. If you have young kids, you might want to think about something more durable, something a little harder that's going to last a little bit longer. But whatever it is, Empire Today will be there for you. And that's all they do. They're flooring specialists. They don't deal with toilets or anything like that. It's all flooring all the time, and they can do it the next day. So Empire Today. Go to empiretoday.com/DLLS and you can get $350 off your new floors.
Hey, and by the way, you may have heard we are heading to Las Vegas with True Fan Travel. That's the ultimate fan experience. DLLS is taking over the Strip for an unforgettable weekend in Vegas, and you must be there. Join us as the Cowboys take on the Raiders. November the 17th. It's the Cowboys' very first trip to Las Vegas since the Raiders have moved there. And this all-inclusive trip includes 3 nights, a 3-night stay at the luxury resort in Vegas. I think it's the Mandalay Bay. Mandalay Bay, thank you. It's game tickets. It's a VIP party. So many more exclusive events with the crew and fellow diehards and fans and much more. This is how Dallas does Vegas. Book now at truefantravel.com. All right, we continue in the meantime talking about a Rangers team that got a great victory tonight. A darn near no-hitter from Jacob deGrom, a 7-run offensive outburst from a Rangers team that once they get over 4 runs, they proved it last night too. As long as they're over 4, they win. Now, Jeff, they were over 4 last night, and it got scary. Let's talk. Let's first of all make me feel better about our buddy Chris Martin. Did you talk to him?
Yeah.
Is he okay and everything's good? What's up? What's up with Chris?
We were in the clubhouse today. Hang on. I gotta relog in.
Okay, no problem.
Audio. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. Jeff's coming right back. Last night.
Wait.
You back? You good? You okay? You still there? I think we lost you. Seem frozen.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, you're good. All right. So tell me what I was going to recap that game first, but tell me.
Okay. So we were standing in the clubhouse, and I'm standing there, and he came walking down the hallway, and he kind of had this smile on his face, and just kind of looked at me, and I said, the funniest thing, Chris, is that they drug tested you after the game. And he said, he said they must not have been watching the game. He said if I'm cheating, I'm not cheating the right way. So he had a good sense of humor about it, and this guy just doesn't give up home runs. And he got to 2 strikes on all 3 guys who hit the back-to-back homers. So he did laugh, and we asked him, Bruce Bochy, after the game last night, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, his velocity was fine. He just didn't execute. So those things happen. I'm glad he was able to laugh about it. But I think Chris Martin's going to be just fine. I don't think anybody has to worry about that.
Yeah. Because it was, if you didn't see the game last night, it was 4-0 Rangers. And then Chris Martin came in to replace, at that point, Jacob Latz left the game. And he had surrendered his first hit, right? He had a no-hitter, and then he surrenders a hit, and here comes Chris Martin, and he gave up back-to-back Jeff home runs, and it was 5-4, boom, just like that.
Yeah, and that's a heck of a gut punch. You're thinking no-hitter, all right, we're up 4-0. This isn't going to be easy, and all of a sudden you're down 5-4 on the road where you haven't played well. You don't come from behind and win games. You just hadn't done it. I think the Rangers were 2-29 when trailing after 7 innings on the season.
Wow.
But then it was really cool how it happened. Sam Haggerty comes off the bench as a pitch hitter, gets a walk, steals 2 bases on back-to-back pitches.
Yeah.
He's at third. Jonah Heim gets him in with a sac fly. It's tied up. So you're feeling good about yourself again. You countered right away and scored. You didn't have to face their closer with a deficit. Hobie Milner, who had saved the 7th, finished the 7th for Martin, got 2 outs in the 8th. He's been amazing. Luke Jackson gets the last out in the 9th. Corey Seager starts the 9th with a single and then steals second.
Yes.
You're thinking, oh man, this is the Rangers' night. They couldn't get him in. Luke Jackson, though, calms the storm. Again, the extra inning, Evan Carter gets a third on a wild pitch with no outs. Sam Haggerty's up. Carter gets a great read on a ball with the drawn in infield. Initially called out. Replay showed he was safe. Rangers lead. And then Robert Garcia, who, people who do not have a lot of faith in as closer. Orioles get their guy to third on a bunt. Big strikeout, gets Jackson Holliday to fly out, and it's a huge win. And Bruce Bochy thinks that win propelled the Rangers into tonight. He really thinks that win last night helped contribute to this one. The guys just felt good about themselves. Maybe there was some pressure off. I'm not sure, and they also weren't facing Jim Palmer tonight. They're facing some guy, who
third career start.
Career start. He'd only thrown like 10 career innings at that point. They took advantage of it, and it was good for Josh Young to get into the mix tonight. I mean, he'd had a couple good games here, and I guess the good game last night, he had a nice little game.
Yep.
So he started getting going. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters drove in runs tonight, and then Jonah did his job, getting a home run. So contributions from everybody, and it's just something you feel good about. Osuna made the nice play. Josh Young, I thought, made a nice play going to his left. The defense remains really, really good. So it's just, it wasn't a perfect game, but it was almost a perfect win for the Rangers. I mean, it was just everything went well tonight.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mentioned before you came on, Jeff, when you were huffing and puffing across the Inner Harbor there, I mentioned, after that game, Sunday I thought was such a dud in Pittsburgh. And then Monday was such a dud, 3 hits, and it almost felt as bad as the Toronto game. And I mentioned on the show, I brought up the quote from Bruce Bochy saying, I feel like we're headed in the right direction. He said, I know an offensive dud like this feels bad and blah, 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 but I think we're doing okay. I think and his words proved to be prophetic, although without that comeback last night, who knows what we'd be talking about today. But the truth is, they did get that. And the other thing is, Chris Young has been talking about we need more. I can't remember his exact wording. You were probably there for it, but connectivity, from hitter to hitter in the order, right in the lineup. We need guys to carry forward better. And it felt like last night was a classic example of that. That was not just relying on a home run, relying on, the long ball or slug. There were so many other things involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Rangers only hit 3 home runs on this road trip. So they're not a slugging team. Bless you, John. They need Sam Haggerty type players. They need guys who are going to get on base and manufacture runs. I mean, this offense can't be picky. They can't just sit there and think the homers are going to come. You see, the Orioles showed you what happens when it does come. I mean, 3-run homers each of the first 2 games. Those change everything. And, the Rangers just don't have that right now for whatever reason. But, you saw, Adolis Garcia continues to be a quality hitter right now. It's been about 20 games, and it's been really refreshing to see. Josh Young was swinging at strikes tonight. He didn't chase, and the results speak for themselves. Marcus Semien, couple hits. Corey Seager,
3 more, yeah.
Seager had a hit, and so it's so important for obviously everybody to hit, but Seager leads these guys. They feed off of him.
And to your point, yes, Seager, Semien, and Adolis all had RBIs tonight too. So while they weren't, now you can't argue with 3 hits from Marcus, but Adolis had no hits. Corey only had 1, but they were productive, right? They were driving in runs. They were doing very positive things for the offense, although most of the damage tonight was done in the bottom third of the order, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Not at all. I mean, that's why when the Rangers were so good in 23, they were getting, Leody Taveras, God bless him, was killing it in May. When the Rangers were at their absolute best, their number 9 hitter led the American League in batting for the month of May. Because when he was on base, at Semien, Seager, boom, boom, and good things were happening. So it's imperative that they get production up and down the lineup, but they have to have more than like 2 guys hot. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Wyatt Langford here. With him out tonight. Tomorrow they don't play. He's going to get some imaging done. I don't know. He may end up on the injured list. They just didn't sound like terribly concerned about it. I got into a little pissing match on Twitter with a guy when I said that. But anyway, he needs a mental break too.
Sure.
It wouldn't hurt. This may be a blessing in disguise if he can be down for tonight, tomorrow, maybe even Friday. Maybe he can work on some things. Approach wise, he probably won't do a lot of swinging, but just a chance to unplug and get his head right, because he had a 1-for-13 road trip. Now, he did hit a lot of balls hard. There were a lot of atom balls, as Bruce Bochy calls them. But Wyatt needs to be better. He's down to 232. Young hadn't hit a homer since May 16th before the night. That kind of tells you where 2 young guys who are being counted on are. Evan Carter, he hasn't been very good at home. So he needs to be good at home. There's just a lot of guys that have to get rolling, and it feels like it's trending that way. Everybody was crapping on Seager only a few days ago, and he's fine. He's gonna be fine. Semien has been good, as we've noted now, for about a month, and it just feels like with Adolis there too. If 3, 4, and 5 are producing, Josh Smith has been a pest and still getting on base. And I like this Sam Haggerty guy.
Wow,
I like him a lot. I don't know that he can play every day, but my God, he just seems to do something every time he's in a game.
Yeah, and the broadcast showed they showed the list of the guys who have hit home runs for the Rangers out onto Utah Street. The last being Josh Hamilton. We were there for that, but in 12. But anyway, one of the guys who has a hit out there and has they put a plaque out there for everybody. Haggerty, when he was with Seattle. I don't even think of him as that much of a power guy. He hit it over the stands and over Boog's barbecue out there and the whole 9 yards. So
Jonah's home run tonight hit one of the flags out there.
I saw that.
I don't think it quite would have made it, and then Osuna came up and ripped a foul ball that if it had stayed fair would have gone to Utah Street. But Haggerty hit the home run against the Yankees in a game that the Rangers blew. I think deGrom pitched it, and he can do a little bit of everything, and but he has to do it with his legs, stealing bases, beating out infield hits, stretching doubles into triples, laying down bunts, and there's nothing wrong with that player. I know. I just wish there were more of them, guys who would just get on base and get dirty and help the team win. It's okay to have one of those guys. I think having 9 guys who try to hit home runs every at bat is not good. You have to have the on-base guys. That's why Evan Carter's important in this lineup. And I think Haggerty, he won't play every day, but when he does play, he just brings something different to the lineup.
Yeah, he absolutely does. More coming up about him and about the upcoming homestand. It includes a series against a division foe, the likes of which we haven't seen in a minute or two. In fact, it's the team just in front of your Texas Rangers. So we'll talk about that and wrap this one up. A good night for the Rangers. It's coming up next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And, hey, we want to remind you about our deal going on right now. Because of the NBA draft, the NHL draft, which is coming up Friday and Saturday, we've got a $36 die-hard deal for you right now. $36 is an absolute steal to become a die-hard, and you can do that. If you scan the QR code that's on your YouTube feed right now, or, you can just go to alldlls.com/join and become a diehard to get all the content that we put behind the paywall. Jeff's been writing feverishly while he's in Baltimore. We've got all kinds of people writing about the Mavs and everything that's going on with Cooper Flagg and whatever will happen tomorrow in the second round of the draft. The Cowboys are getting ready to get super busy. So, but there's still plenty of content from Clarence and Joe there. And of course, let's see what Sam can give us with the Dallas Stars with regard to the upcoming draft. It's all there and it's all accessible to you, and it's all for $3 a month. That is so ridiculously cheap. We encourage you to do it. And if you do, you get a free T-shirt, Jeff, a free T-shirt that's worth $35. So essentially, you are becoming a diehard and getting access to all that great content and 20% off our events for $1.
Which one do you have on today, John?
I rolled the dice, man.
Atta baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one I packed for my flight home tomorrow. So nice. I'll probably have it on in studio tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Stored at ALLCITYNetwork.com. We've talked about the shirts and how nice they are, and that we've got that one coming out that is fantastic. I can't wait till it debuts.
Yeah,
that'll be another one I add to my collection. And then hats. I don't know what I got to do to get a hat, but when hats come, you will see me with every single one that we have. It's just, I like supporting the cause, and these shirts, they allow you to show your fandom in a unique way. Nowhere else. They can't get these shirts at the ballpark, at the team store. So go ahead and do it. Store at ALLCITYNetwork.com.
Yeah. Okay. So one other thing about Sam Haggerty, last night's game, Jeff. That on the MLB app. I'm watching along. I've got the app up, and I'm watching the game on TV. And the app asks me, they're trying to make me interactive and all that stuff. And who do you vote as player of the game? And I think that comes around the bottom of the 6th or maybe the 7th. I don't know. And I'm like, well, obviously it's Jacob Latz. I don't vote. I just, I don't take the time. But it's got to be Jacob Latz. And then, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'm changing my vote, which I didn't vote. But I'm changing my vote. It's Sam Haggerty, who didn't even start the damn game. But that's my player of the game. Sam Haggerty saved that game. He did.
And it's good when you have a choice. You're not picking from two guys who are 1 for 4. It's nice to have a couple choices for once. But winning just makes everything better. You and I feel good right now. That the Rangers felt great. There was a buzz in the clubhouse, and so it was pretty funny. I had talked to Patrick Corbin before the game about deGrom, and we were walking to the clubhouse, and Corbin was out there, and he said, "Man, what's wrong with deGrom? He gave up the only hit tonight." Just guys making jokes and having a good time. So and it hasn't been like that for a while. So that's another good sign to see.
Yeah, it is. So we've got the series coming up with Seattle, as we mentioned. Right now, I think officially the Rangers are still listing tomorrow, or rather Friday after the off day tomorrow, as TBA. Can you confirm or deny that it's going to be Eovaldi yet?
Yeah, it is. We got that from Bruce Bochy today. Probably only about 4 innings. So don't expect him to go out there and go 12 or 9 and throw 120 pitches. He's going to probably go 4 innings. It's going to be a gradual buildup, but he's going to be back in the rotation, probably 5 the next time. You know how it goes, an inning at a time. They'd rather have those bullets here than in AAA, and that's fine. The rotation needs a breather. The off day tomorrow is going to help. Adding Evaldi back in is going to help, and then you kind of wonder, what are they going to do with Latz? He's pitched well enough to be in the rotation. He's pitching better probably right now than Corbin and Leiter are. I don't think they're going to bump either of those two. I thought they might try to split up Leiter and Rocker, but Bruce Bochy said he'll give us the rest of the rotation Friday when we show up at the ballpark. But as of right now, if everything holds, it would be Rocker Leiter for the weekend game. So yeah, I feel you, John. I almost sneezed too. But Corbin would be available Saturday or Sunday if they did want to go ahead and split those two rookies up. But I asked about that specifically, and they both think that those two guys are able to give length. So we'll see what happens. But you look at that matchup, Logan Gilbert, what he always does to the Rangers, Brian Wu, who's a good young pitcher.
Yeah.
Luis Castillo, who's a veteran with nasty stuff. The Rangers need to get one of those first 2 games. It's hard, and that's something that Eric brought up in the chat, that the Rangers need to do this against a good pitcher. They need to have a nice offensive night against a Logan Gilbert or a Brian Wu or Luis Castillo. And it's not to say they can't, but 3-2 win, 3 runs against Logan Gilbert's pretty damn good. So it's going to be interesting to see how this weekend plays out. But opportunity. Oh, look at that graphic updated.
How about Kat?
Man.
Look at her.
Man, look at that. So
I'll tell you what, too. When you look at 3 ERAs in the 3s, it is a little surprising. And again, now Seattle's won 8 of the last 11. They're on a bit of a heater right now. But obviously, as we said, the Rangers have won 5 out of 6 series. They've won 4 road series in a row. Both teams probably come in feeling pretty good about themselves. I will say this, Jeff. We know how the Rangers do against Seattle in Seattle. So we can at least take heart in the fact that it's not there.
Yeah. The Rangers go to Seattle again for the last time. I think trade deadline day, July 31st, is the first game of a 4-game series in Seattle. So who knows where we'll be in a month? But the Rangers need to fix that Seattle problem. And to win this series would be huge. To go out and take 2 out of 3 from one of the 3 teams ahead of you. The Angels are still a little bit ahead of bit ahead of the Rangers. Anyway, still 3 out in the wild card. Giving Chris Young things to think about, good and on the good side. I wanted to bring up Cody Bradford because we just talked about it a little bit at the end of the show yesterday. He had the surgery, and somehow out there in the Twitter land, there's a growing group of people who think that the Rangers are being deceitful and covering up injuries. I guess, some injuries have become worse than others. They point to the Evaldi thing, which, initially they were like, oh, he's not going to miss any time. And then, we're just going to push him back. We talked to Evaldi. He's like, yeah, I'm going to start Saturday. And then they put him on the injured list, and it festered a little longer. The Rangers are not lying about injuries, and it drives me crazy. Cody Bradford rested for 3 weeks, no throw, right? That was the program they put him on. He had built up very slowly. He was giving us updates every time he threw. We had the latest information. We even knew that he had the flu the other day.
Yeah.
That's how often we were talking to and about Cody Bradford. The Rangers weren't hiding Jack. All right. He had a setback. It happens. The story I wrote, if you're a diehard, you can read it. I go through a bunch of cases in team history where the same thing happened, and it's just kind of maddening to hear from fans. Be mad about the offense, and it sucks that Cody Bradford's hurt, but this is basic sports medicine. Surgery is the last option. You try to do whatever you can to avoid having surgery. There is a chance at rehab, you're gonna rehab it, and then ultimately it may not work out. You may hit a wall in your recovery, whatever. Cody was about to go on a rehab assignment,
right?
All right, and all the imaging and all the tests showed no problems until there's a problem. So this is just ridiculous stuff. And injuries happen not just to the Rangers, but to the other 29 teams. Not just to the Rangers farm system, but to all farm systems. It's just baseball, man.
Yeah.
And to suggest that the Rangers are covering up. How about there's no sport that gives details about a player's injury and status like baseball.
Right.
It's just, it really kind of got under my skin.
Yeah.
So I needed to get that off my chest.
Yeah. And understandably, and the reality is, the simple reality is, as you get closer to the ability, to the rehab assignment, in this case for Cody Bradford, you do more, right? You try more, you put more pressure, more leverage, more, and the more you do, the greater the chance that whatever was tender becomes inflamed or, in this case, torn. And that's what happened. And and I loved, Chris Young's statements were so appropriate. Like, it sucks for us, but it's even worse for him. He worked so hard to get back. He did everything we asked him to do. And now he's going to be set back for probably at least a year and maybe more. And I guess there's two options. Did we find out which route?
No, there was no information provided on that today.
Okay.
I don't know if I would imagine he would have had the surgery in the morning, but Dr. Meister operates on normal folk too, so
yeah, that's right.
He might have had to squeeze Cody into his schedule, but it's either way, it's I would imagine minimum 15 months. I know the brace allows you to get back a little sooner, but I don't think he's going to be back in the start of spring training.
Right. It's like a year or it's 15 months. And if it's 15 months, that probably takes him out of all of next season as well, which unfortunately, really sucks for him and for us, because it's fun to watch him pitch and we like him, and he's a really, really good guy. So that's unfortunate. That's too bad. But those are, as they say, those are the breaks of the game. If assuming the rotation is what Kat just showed, Jeff, will deGrom pitch the finale of the Baltimore series?
He would pitch this. Well, it depends on what they do with Lats. If they stick with the 5-man rotation, he would pitch the second Baltimore game. But with the extra day here, with the off day tomorrow, and that would he would probably, I believe, miss the Padres series, but then he would pitch against the Angels and the Astros, so he would get two division opponents there, including the team in first place that 9 years in a row now you got to beat. So I just think that he'll probably 3 starts here before the All-Star break. I do wonder, he's going to be an All-Star. So I wonder, if they want him to pitch in that game, if he wants to pitch in that game. And as you know, John, the players who go to the All-Star game do not get a break.
None.
It's they fly to the game. They have to be places Monday and Tuesday, and they're on a schedule and they're rushed around. And if they try to bring their family with them, it's crazy. It is not a break. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is an all-star, which he will be, if he doesn't start until maybe the second series after the all-star break.
Sure, that'd be a wise choice. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Fun night for Rangers baseball, 7-0 final. Jacob deGrom hangs a masterpiece on the wall. I hope you had a chance to see it and enjoy it as much as we did. We are back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we will then bring you another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.